for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson. Only on 1029 CHTM, your radio station.
Good morning and welcome to City Beat here on 1029 CHTM. My name is Stuart Walter, and my guest this morning on National Indigenous Peoples Day is Mayor Dennis Fenske.
Good morning.
Let's get this out of the way right off the top. You addressed the situation with regards to the Mining Community Reserve Fund Monday night at Council. Would you mind giving us maybe the Sparks Notes abridged version of what you said?
Yeah, basically I was rebutting a lot of comments that have been made through the media or through secondhand discussions from the government, from Minister Pedersen in regards to the Mining Reserve Act and the ability for Thompson to access funds which have been denied by the province of Manitoba. And so the idea of not having a plan, and as I stated before, we did present a short-term plan in the relative to the grant in lieu time frame, which is 4 years, and the ask was for $100,000 this year, $1 million in years 2, 3, and 4, with an escalator in the second year. It may not be required if Vale is able to produce $20 million U.S. cash flow positive in the given year. Then they will pay us an additional $1.2 million for a total of 4.2 in the second year. So just addressing the statement that was made that we didn't present a plan was false. We did present a plan, they just didn't like it. And from the long-term plan, and that again from statements made in the public that Thompson knew about this years ago and hadn't done anything about it. We presented and have presented documentation in the past from the Tedwick process and Thompson 2020 to all levels of government. I will again present the same material and an update in regards to a meeting on Monday, on Tuesday on the 26th in Winnipeg with Minister Pedersen to again review the process and the progress that we've made as a community looking past 2010 in the original announcement from Vale and working towards a sustainable community built on 5 pillars. Being education, commerce, health, transportation, and basically looking at expanding those opportunities. And the result of all that work and a lot of work of people behind the scenes is this year you're going to see $160 million approximately invested in our community that fall on the back of that work that was previously done. So I take great exception, and every Thompsonite should take great exception to the comment that we have done nothing since 2010 in the announcement. So we'll move forward and continue positive discussions and see where they go from there.
And just for everyone listening, if you would like to hear what Mayor Fenske said in its entirety on Monday at City Council, it'll be playing as a 2-part Thompson Today starting today, and that first will play at 12:40 this afternoon. Moving on to other business from Council on Monday, the city has announced who the next city manager will be, Anthony McInnes, who's currently the Director of Development Services. He was officially named and approved by Council to be the next city manager once Gary Septelli retires in September. Would you mind talking about what the city manager does exactly? I know it's a title that most people are familiar with, but maybe not the work as much, and why Anthony is the right person for the job.
Sure. 2 things. From regards to the city manager through the Municipal Act is the only employee of City Council. And then he manages the remainder of the, he or she, sorry, he manages the remainder of the staff on behalf of the organization of the City of Thompson. And so the role of the City of city manager is the conduit between the organization and council itself. And so the position is mandated to ensure that the council operates within the guidelines and the rules of the Municipal Act and the Planning Act and any other act that we are governed by, and to bring to council's attention when we stray from those guidelines. He is also responsible for the operation of the City of Thompson and has a number of directors under the position to basically put into action the policies that council sets. Council sets policy They do not do hands-on work. That's the job of the staff and through the leadership of the city manager's position. In regards to Anthony McGuinness, it was a unanimous decision by council. It was a vigorous process. We had plenty of applications when we put the request out 3.5, 4 months ago, and so he was not given the job. He beat out other candidates based on his qualifications and the work that he's done with us to date. So I'm quite confident moving forward that the city will be in good hands administratively, and that he will provide good leadership to staff moving forward and implementing policies that are formulated by Council of Thompson.
And I think from what I've seen response after I published a story after he was appointed, many people are excited that there is a Thompsonite who will be one of the top employees for the city responsible for a lot of things.
Well, I think this speaks to the bigger issue in regards to professional development in our community, and that the constant thought that we don't have the resources in the north to fulfill the higher end jobs, whether it be in health, in education, or in government. And this is proof that a local boy grew up in Thompson, went away for some schooling, from life experience, and came home, and is now going to be the city manager. It just speaks volumes to the potential of northern residents, if given the opportunity to, one, be educated, and two, experience life, and three, return to a place that they love. And that's our message, and my message is that the more that we provide opportunities to northerners to advance in the job market, whatever job market that is, the more opportunity and the possibility of people staying in the north and being here because they want to be here and they feel for the north. So I think this appointment speaks to that, and I look. There's examples, shining examples in all other kinds of professions, whether it be RCMP or health or education, where local people have grown up here, have got their schooling, and have not left because they were able to do it all here, or have left and come back and are contributing to our community.
Thompson 2020 gave their regular update at the last city council meeting, and they're holding an event, I believe it's next Monday, in Winnipeg. From what I understand, this is a breakfast aimed at attracting investment in Thompson from outside of the north. Could you elaborate on what's going to be happening and why it's happening in Winnipeg rather than here in Thompson?
Sure. There's actually going to be two, and the one that's starting is the one in Winnipeg on Tuesday, the 26th. We're taking a group of ambassadors who are local business owners who have experience in the Thompson economy and the future of the Thompson economy to speak on our behalf to other potential business investors or financial institutions, because in most cases when someone makes an investment in our community, the financing of that, the decision is not made locally through the local banks or the local financial institutions. Most of those decisions are made at the larger offices, the main offices, which would be in Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, or Toronto. And so this is an opportunity to speak to that level of person that is a decision maker and that can understand the potential investment opportunity. And again, I'll go back to, as I said earlier, this summer alone, $160 million investment in our community. That's huge given our current economic times, and we want to give a good, clear message that we will be here beyond 2018 once the Vallée goes to a mine mill operation. We will continue as a community, as a hub of the north for various health, education, transportation, industry, commerce, government services, and we'll continue that way. So we want to ensure that the message is getting out that there's still economic opportunity for outside investors and those that provide the financing for that. And then we'll follow this up in the fall, in September, with a local investor breakfast or luncheon type of setting, where we'll provide the same information for local investors to reinforce the idea that Thompson is an economic opportunity if you're willing to take a chance.
You will be heading to a Justice Advisory Committee meeting in the near future, and this is something that you've been involved with for a while. Could you talk about what it is and what your role is?
Sure. The Provincial Manitoba Justice Advisory Committee is a subcommittee of the AMM, the Association of Manitoba Municipalities, of which the City of Thompson is a member. I act as the chair of that committee. It started as the representatives of the 22 RCMP contracts in Manitoba, of which Thompson has the largest contract. And so I chair that meeting and that group, and we discuss a number of policing issues. We will have a meeting on July 6th, and one of the topics, it's a hot topic, is cannabis and the effects of legalizing, which will now, as of yesterday, will be October 17th of 2018. It will be legal. There's a number of processes and impacts from the legalization that will impact our community. The FCM, Federation of Canadian Municipalities, did a survey in regards to the costing and the impact on municipalities. And using their formula, and this is a broad formula, not very scientific, but it's just to give you an idea, but based on our population, we can expect an increased cost of enforcement, of regulation, and all other costs related to the cannabis industry of about $100,000. And that's perceived to be low. And so we will continue to lobby through this group to the province of Manitoba, because they will be receiving 75% share of the revenue from cannabis sales through an agreement with the federal government. And AMM, Association of Manitoba Municipalities, has been lobbying on our behalf as municipalities to get our fair share of that 75%. So again, this is a lobbying group, and our committee deals with policing issues, but in the most recent one we'll be dealing with on the 6th is the cannabis legalization.
This is something that's a very good news story, and I'm sure everyone is happy to hear that there's going to be additional road work done in trouble spots around the city. I know personally the one I'm most happy that's being dealt with is right by the entrance to the Tim Hortons drive-through as you're heading along Thompson Drive. What are the spots that are going to be fixed up?
There's a number of spots, and I believe that'll be on thompson.ca on our online under Public Works or Capital Works. What happened is we put out an RFP for roadworks, and it came in and it was under budget by about $250,000. We started this process last year where we identified if there was any under expenditure in roadworks budget, that we would institute a milling program, which we did last year, where we only have to take off the top 2 inches of a specific intersection or roadway or area of roadway. We can remill it and then relay it as asphalt, as opposed to digging down 2 feet and replacing the whole road. And so this is a very proactive way to go through this, and Public Works and Infrastructure Group have identified the hot spots. You named one of them. There's one also out on Seal Road that's a hot spot, and a number of other intersections. So it's a good news story, as you said, that we can add work to the existing contract and provide better roads for our residents.
Speaking of roads, could you give us an update on Public Works with regards to street sweeping? And I know I saw city crews out the past few days painting on the crosswalks and the stop lines on roads. Yeah,
so in regards to line painting, the line painting has been completed by the province of Manitoba. They were through last weekend. As you stated, our crews now are in the midst of painting pedestrian crosswalks. So I would, from a safety perspective, I would please have drivers be aware of the equipment. There's signed before you get to an intersection that there's people working in an intersection. So please be aware of that, and we'll continue painting our crosswalks throughout the city until we're done. From a street sweeping perspective, I believe we're in the Riverside area now. Once we've completed the, no pun intended, but a clean sweep of the whole city, then we'll return back to the downtown area and start working out from there again, and that will continue all summer long. The sweepers will be on the street all summer long to ensure that we have a clean community for ourselves and for visitors.
And then finally, wrapping up, this is probably the busiest day of 2018, or one of them, with it not only being National Indigenous Peoples Day, but also the start of Nickel Days.
It's actually a really busy 2 weeks, and you hit the nail on the head that our staff is really challenged in getting this together, and there's lots of volunteers in the background. I attended the Nickel Days President's reception last night, where they kicked off Nickel Days, and the gates have opened this morning. National Indigenous People Days as well kicked off this morning with a sunrise ceremony. There will be a grand entry at 1 p.m. at the McLean Park, so I'd encourage everyone to come down. There's entertainment and food all day long, so take advantage of a beautiful day that we have out there in a beautiful setting of McLean Park, and enjoy National Indigenous Peoples Day. That will be followed by Canada Day. there is a huge program for July 1st located at the TRCC. The agenda is online at thompson.ca, and I believe it'll be in the Thompson Citizen as well. And so there's an all-day event accumulating at the end with the ever favorite fireworks display at sunset, which is around 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Well, thank you so much for joining me this morning, Mayor Fenske.
Thank you.
If you have any questions you'd like answered next week, email them in advance to CHTMnews@arcticradio.ca. For City Beat here on 102.9 CHTM, I'm Stuart Walter.
City Beat will be back next Thursday morning at